Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be looking at some of the new features that Microsoft have released into SharePoint Online, okay? So we're going to be looking at the new Brand Center and its ability to let us have custom fonts within our SharePoint sites. I know, it's finally here, hallelujah. So very excited about that. And also we're going to look at how we can now add custom section background images, which are going to work wonders for us in actually creating some engaging user experiences on our site pages. So there's a lot of videos out there on how to set up the Brand Center, so we won't focus too much on that. I want this to be more of a practical video. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to build a site page and we're going to use all this functionality and bring it together to create something pretty cool. So what I did was I went and had a look on the World Wide Web for a homepage of a site that would help me demonstrate this capability if we were going to build it within SharePoint Online. So I didn't have to look too far. Being a massive ice cream fiend and addict myself, my mind went to Ben & Jerry's pretty quick because they have a very vibrant brand, lots of colorful images and things like that that will really make our site pop and we can use as background images. And also they have a quirky font that they use everywhere, and sure, why not, we'll throw that into the mix as well. So this build will hopefully let me demonstrate this capability and give you some ideas. I know you're not looking to build a Ben & Jerry's homepage on your intranet, but in going through the examples, you might get some ideas on what you can do. So with all that being said, let's get into it and let's look at what we're going to build. This video is sponsored well by me and the Academy 365 SharePoint Intranet Site Builder Masterclass. This is a course I've put together for anybody who has inherited an existing site or indeed wants to build a new department site within their company intranet. The course focuses on the most common requirements I see again and again and a step-by-step guide on how to build them within SharePoint. There's a big focus on user experience within this course, and I've designed it so you don't have to be a techie to take it. This course is aimed at any business user who wants to up their game within SharePoint Online. If you're interested, there's a link below along with a tasty discount to get you going. Now back to the video. Okay, so here we have the Ben & Jerry's website, their homepage, and you can see that we've got these lovely unique fonts for some headings and for the navigation. We've got this nice background image here, which is great. We're going to create that, all right. We come down the page, we've got some nice sections in here, which we can translate into SharePoint language, fairly simple. We've got this section in here, which will be nice. We can also use the section background to help us get this look. We've got some top stories where we have the font coming through again, and we have a bottom section, blah, blah, blah. All looks very nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this in SharePoint, as I mentioned. So if we have a look at what the SharePoint version looks like, we're going to end up with something that looks like this. Now, we're not 100% there, but I think we're about 95% if I was to be scientific. So we come in here, and again, we have our nice menu with our cool font in here, okay? We also have a font in here again. We also have the custom font in here. We come down the page, we have our sections here. We have this nice section here with the background, which is pretty close to what they have. We've got our top stories. So you can see the custom fonts coming through really well here. They add a hell of a lot to the page, especially when we consider what we're used to looking at in SharePoint with the same font for years and years. We have a nice breath of fresh air on this site now. So we were able to get pretty close. And again, we've used a lot of background images and we've also used the font. So let me show you how I built this and we'll go through it step by step. Okay, so the first thing that we'll do is we'll get our font in here, okay? So we add fonts to the sites through the new Brand Center that was introduced, okay? So you'll need Admin Center access to get to this, but just know that it's there if you don't have that access, and you can ask somebody who does have access to do this next few bits for you. So what you want to do is you want to come up here and you want to say Admin, okay? This will bring you to the Admin Center. And you're going to come into settings and you're going to go into org settings, and we have this area in here, or this setting, called Brand Center, and it's in preview at the moment, but that'll become general availability pretty soon, I'm sure. So click Brand Center and we come in here. Now if this is your first time going to it, right, you're going to have to go through a couple of steps to set this up, but you're walked right through it. There's nothing tricky about it, okay? Just follow the steps. But when you get to the end of those steps, you're going to get these links here, okay? And this will bring you to a dedicated site that was created within your tenant that contains the Brand Center. And within that site, there's a specific area that lets you add fonts and things like that. So when we have here Brand Center app, you're basically going to copy that link, okay? And when you paste that into your browser, you're going to come somewhere that looks like this, okay? So briefly what happens in here is you can add fonts within here, okay? So if you've got font files saved locally on your computer or your laptop, you're just going to upload them into here. Once you have your fonts added into here, we create what's called a font package, and this is basically a definition of the font with respect to a SharePoint site, where you can say what font you want to use for your titles, your headings, and the body content, all the stuff like that. That's called a package or a definition, okay? So if I come into brand fonts here, so I've already done this, right? I couldn't contain myself, obviously. So I came in here and I uploaded these fonts here, okay? So Sierra Pro, that's a very standard font, but it looks really nice, so I recommend that one. And then the one that I've used for my Ben & Jerry style is called Tariff Arabic Extra Bold. Now, I don't think that's the exact one that Ben & Jerry uses, but for me, it got pretty close. So you just have a scour on the internet if you're looking for a custom font, and you can download the files there. But realistically, in your organization, there's probably going to be branded fonts anyway. So you're just going to get them and upload them in here. You can either click upload or drag and drop the files here. So once you have your fonts in here, what you do is you come down, you create a font package. So you can create one for SharePoint or Viva Connection. So if I click into SharePoint, you'll see a couple of font packages I've already created earlier. One is just a standard Sierra Pro, and I've started using that in some of my sites because I really like the look of it. And this other one I have in here for Ben & Jerry's is one that I set up for the demo. We'll create it again so you see how it works. So I'm going to go to add new font package, right? And then we just follow the wizard in here, okay? So choose our display font, okay? So the display font will be the extravagant one, right? So I'm going to set that one as Tariff Arabic, and my content fonts I'm going to use as Sierra Pro, okay? And I'm just going to click next. And now I get to assign specific fonts to different elements on the site. Now we can come in here in a second and we'll be able to preview what we've set. So if we don't like it, we can always change it around. So for the title, I'm going to choose my Tariff Arabic again. That's a very strong one. And I have styles in here now. Where you upload your fonts, you can add in variations of the font, so bold or italic or bold italic and that kind of stuff. But I know I just want this big chunky one in, so I just uploaded my extra bold. So that's all I'm going to use. So I stick that in there. For headlines, again, I'm going to choose my Tariff Arabic again. For body, this is going to be a lot of the content on the site, right? So I don't really want this big chunky font as just the body content, right? I think that's going to annoy people over time. So for the body, I'll be a bit more conservative and I'll use my Sierra Pro, okay? And the style I will use will be medium, okay? So you can see here in my Tariff Arabic, right, I only have one style available because I only uploaded one variation of that font. But when I pick Sierra Pro, I uploaded them all, so I have all of these various options in here, okay? So that's all good. Come down here. Interactive, that's going to be for things like buttons and for your navigation items in your menu, okay? So I'll be a bit crazy here and I'm going to go with the Tariff Arabic again, extra bold, which is great. I'll click next. I'm going to give it a name, so I'm going to call it Ben & Jerry's. Okay, it's visible, so I want it to appear in sites for people to use, which is great. And then we're going to click save. So now I have my Ben & Jerry's font in here, okay? Now I can always come back into it, right, and have a look at it and preview it in SharePoint. So this is how it's going to look within my site. Bit scary, a bit daunting, right? But we're going extreme here for this example. So for me, that looks pretty good, okay? So now we have that there, right? That's pretty much ready to go now at this stage. So when we come into one of our sites, let's come back to our demo site here. I'm just going to refresh the page for good luck. And then when I come over into the cog, I come in to change the look. I now see that we have a new option in here called font. And again, it's in preview, right? But if I click on that, then I can click the drop down and I should see all of the fonts that are available to me. So Microsoft give me some various options. I can click on these and you can preview them and see if they're anything that you like. But I should be seeing my Ben & Jerry's font in here, but I'm not. So let me cancel out of this and I'll refresh the browser, right? Sometimes SharePoint, you know, takes a few minutes to catch on to the rest of the world. I'll come back in here again, change the look, font, preview, and now I have Ben & Jerry. So it might just take a couple of minutes, but it'll come along. So I click that. I click save. I'm not going to notice a whole lot of difference here because it's the exact same as one I created earlier, but that's all you got to do. You just follow those steps and you'll get your font in here. So that's one of the big steps in here. Now we can start using it within the site and the various elements will just adopt whatever we've defined in our package. So now we have that bit of housekeeping out of the way. Let's create a blank site and we'll create this from scratch and you can see exactly how I did it. Okay, so here we have an absolutely blank communication site, right? So first thing that we'll do is we'll set the font and we'll set the theme, right? And that will ground us for what we're going to do next. So I'm going to come over to the cog, right? I'm going to come into change the look and in theme, I'm going to set it as this orange theme. I'll say customize and we'll set the accent color as this orange. I think this will kind of just work well with the Ben & Jerry's. change the look again, and I'm going to go to font, and I'm going to set it to my new Ben & Jerry's font that we created, and already we're getting some nice stuff coming in. So I click save. So now let's look at the Ben & Jerry site and we can get started into the actual content. So if we look here, we have this top section here. So we have some text here and a button, and we have this image here, nice background going across the whole thing. So this is our first foray into our new custom background images. So what we might do is we'll copy all of this text here, right? Save me typing it out again. And then we will come back in here, stick the page into edit mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to structure this section as 2 columns, okay? So I'll come in here and I'm going to put in a text web part. I'm going to paste in my text here, and it came in like this, brilliant, as a heading. I'll just increase the size of this up to maybe 42, something lovely and big like that. And this looks fine in here. Let's add the button web part in here for our learn more. And I'll just put in any link for the moment, just a link to this page really, just so we can see it in action. Brilliant. So we have that in there, but now we really need to add the secret sauce, which is going to be our section background. So when I want to get this background, really what I can do is I can just steal it from the Ben & Jerry's website. So if I right click on it, I'm going to say open image in new tab, and you can see that's what we have in here. Now this image, we might need to do a little bit of treatment to it to make it a bit wider, okay? And that's going to accommodate the sites when they're used on a wider resolution screen. So I'm going to copy this image and I'm going to bring it into Photoshop, okay? So don't get too afraid of this, just know that this capability exists. Again, you're not going to be using the Ben & Jerry's images, right? So you just want to make sure you have an image that's pretty wide, all right? So I have a new Photoshop file in here. I'm going to paste in my image and it comes in like this. Now this is great, but like I said, we want to make it a bit wider. So what we can do is I'll come to the crop, and I'm just going to make it a bit wider on each side. Now I'm not getting very scientific here. This is a bit of trial and error for me. So I'll come in here, something like that looks good, but what are we going to do with this blank space on either side? Well, what we can do is we can use the rectangular marquee tool here. And what I'll do is I'm going to select the image, right? But I'm going to leave enough of the image on each side so that I have a reference, because we're going to use some of that smart AI stuff now. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to hold Command Shift I, which inverts the selection. So I'm selecting everything except the middle bit. And all I'm going to do is come down here to where it says generative fill. Okay, so I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to click generate. That's going to do its thing. And it's basically going to fill in the other parts of the image, right? It's going to take the reference which we had on the 2 sides, and it's going to add it to the side of the image where it's white, so we get this wider image. And as if by magic we get something like this. So that will give us space for our text here, and we'll have the space on either side. Still blows my mind, it's pretty impressive, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this layer, and I'm going to say Command G to group them together. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say quick export as PNG. So I'll just give it a name, top section background, and click save. And that's hopefully it. We hopefully don't have to come back into Photoshop again. So then we come back into our site, okay? And once we're here, we come into the section that we want to add the background to. We come over here to edit section, come down here to our new options. We don't care about these background ideas anymore because we can do a custom one, which is brilliant. I'm going to say add a background. I'm going to upload, select my image. I'm going to say open. And I'm going to say add image. Okay, and that comes in here like this, right? But you know, not perfect yet, right? So what we want to do is again edit the section, and now where we have the image in here, I'm going to say more settings, okay? And now what we can do is we can choose the overlay, okay? So there's a white overlay on this at the moment, right? And we have an opacity set to 78, but if I want the image to come through with nothing on top of it, I just reduce this right back down to 0, okay? And now that looks pretty good and very much like what we have on the Ben & Jerry's site. Now a little tip on this, okay? If you have a background image here and say it's dark but the text here is still black and you find it hard to read, okay, just change this overlay color to black, okay, and it'll change the color of the text to white because it thinks it's on top of a very dark background. Now obviously if we brought this up like this, it would make sense, but we can bring this right down and it would still be white, okay? So just play around with that, okay, to see what works well for you. We also have these overlay gradient colors. Again, so we can click it, bring it in, and you can see it's a gradient top to bottom, or indeed it could be left to right, etc. So you'd see this a lot with a kind of a dark gradient. So if I brought this down, you'd see it like this, and if we had it on left to right, you can kind of see the effect there. But we're going to keep it as a white overlay, 0 opacity, and that's going to give us the look we want, okay? So we can just save that as a draft, see what we're left with. So we have something that looks like this, which is pretty good for me, I think. I like it. And the way our background was filled in also works very well for us. So just like that, you can see how, especially for kind of hero sections on a site or the top section where you want to have a cool background behind the title and the introduction to a page, this is fantastic. This is brilliant. Now we could always play around with the background image a bit more so that this is a bit over to the right hand side. Any of that kind of stuff you can play around with. But the capability that's there is just really fantastic. Okay, and now we'll scroll down the page and we'll build the next section. So if we come back to the actual Ben & Jerry's site, we can see that we come down here and we have this where to buy section. So let's build this really quick. So again, stick the page back into edit mode. We'll come in here. We have a 2-column section, which works perfectly for us, but we want to get this where to buy above it all, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a 1-column section. We'll add in a text web part. Where to buy, and then what we'll do is we'll highlight this, we'll change it to a heading so we get our nice font again, and we might increase the size up to 32, and now we can add in the content in both of these left and right sections here. So looking here, we have an image and we have some text. So what we will do is we'll right click on this image, we'll say copy image, add in a text web part in here, we'll paste in our image, then we can come back and get our text, paste it in, and we're nearly already there. It's so cool. It's very easy. So 20, we'll bring that up to 24. And then we just want to add in a button web part, which is going to be this fella here for get ice cream. And again, I'll just copy a link and pop it in. So our button comes to life. So already happy days, very good. I'll just repeat the exact same thing for the right hand side, which I think you'll agree is all pretty straightforward, very easy. And we'll save as draft, see where we're at. So now we have this nice top section, we have our where to buy and our 2 offerings down here, which is super. So now we'll come down the page and tackle the next section. So we have this section with this lovely big image and we have get involved in here. So again, all we're going to do is we're going to copy this image, put the page back into edit mode. And again, we're going to add in a 2-column section, come in here, we'll add the text, paste in our image, which looks great. We'll come over to this side, we'll add in a text web part. Grab our text, we'll bring this fella to 20, it's at 24 already, that'll do. And we'll just copy again or duplicate our button, bring it down, hit the settings, and we can just amend the text, learn more about our values, which looks good. Now what we might want to do is, if we see here, we've got the space above and the space below. So we're going to come in here and we're going to add a spacer web part. Put that in here and use that to drag this down a little bit. And that looks roughly okay. Excellent. Right, so again, this is an area where we can add in our section background or our custom image background. Okay, so when we look at the site, we see this, it's dark blue color in here, and we'd like to have that in here as well. Now before we could add in these backgrounds, these custom backgrounds, we were stuck with this stuff in here, and this, to be honest, never really worked exactly the way we wanted to because they were set colors. Okay, but that's a thing of the past now. So if you want a block color, okay, the easiest way I've found to do it is if I take a little screenshot, okay, of just this color in here, and we open up our old friend Figma, I'm just going to paste it in here, and all I have to do, right, even though that's only a little small color swatch, right, all I'm going to do is select it, I'm going to export it, and I'm just going to save it as something like dark blue background. Click save. So even though we've just saved it as a little square, we can come back into our site, and again on this section we can say add a background, and we just upload that little square. Okay, so dark blue background, open, add image, and it's just going to fill the entire space. Okay, so you don't have to worry about the size or the width or anything like that. We can come in here and we say more settings, we can say scale to fill, right? It's going to fill the whole thing, or we could even say tile, which would do the same thing, okay? And it's simple as that. So we don't have to worry about our brand colors being one of these colors. We can have any background color we want now at this stage. And once you do that and you know about the overlay black or white, which will change the text, you can make it work pretty much with any color. So background images helped us out massively there. So again, save as draft, and we can see that our site is actually coming together quite nicely now. We have our top section, we have our where to buy, and we have the get involved section in here, which is super. So we come down to the next section, we can start to build the top stories, and this is going to be very similar to what we had above, but again, it's just an example of us continuing down the page, building what we see, and you'll really see that using the fonts in here adds a hell of a lot to the page. So we'll start with this. So we'll put our page into edit mode. We come down here, we'll have a one column, we'll add in the text web part, and we'll type in our top stories. And we might just be consistent and see what size we had this. This was 32, which is brilliant. So I'll come down here. Again, I'll make this a heading so it uses the nice bold font that we had, and we'll set it to 32. Excellent. And now we know we want 3 stories below that, right? So what we could do is we could add in a 3 column section, and now we just start building basically by taking the content from our reference site. So we'll copy this image, add our text web part, we'll paste it in like this. Great. And then let's take all of this text in here, paste it in like this, and now it's just a case of just formatting it. So our image decided to go and have a holiday, so we'll come back over here, we'll copy it again, and we'll pop it back in here. Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll get this here, we'll make it a little bit more of a gray color, drop it down to 16. This looks pretty good, but what we might do is increase this to 24, and everything else looks pretty good. So we just then copy that and bring it over again and again and again. So we'll come back in here this time and we'll say text. This time I think I'll grab the text first, so our image doesn't go on holiday again. Put it in here, copy our image, click here, and then paste our image. And just like that, we have this coming together quite nicely, okay? So just remove the blank space from here. And I'll do the last one off camera so you don't get bored looking at me doing it. Okay, so we have them all in there and they look great, it looks brilliant. And now I know we're not using section backgrounds here, but this is a great showcase of the custom font, how it can really bring out titles and make things stand out on your page. So again, save that as draft. Let's see what we have. We have our top stories. We come down here, we have this stuff in here. Go back to our reference site. We're not too far off, okay? It's looking pretty good. We come down to this section here, and this is essentially the same thing that we just did, but we do get to add in another section background. Again, we'll use our color swatch trick to add in this background here. And when we get to this cow, you'll see how I solved that one as well. So we're almost there. So it's a very quick build, but hopefully you're getting an idea for some of the possibilities here. So let's build this here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this text in here, back over here, stick it into edit. We'll have again a one column section, add in the text web part, paste in our text. Looks great, but we might just bring it up to a 28 or even 32. Okay, brilliant. So now we've got again another 3 column section here, and it's the same thing again. We'll copy the images, paste the text, do that 3 times and you're away. So really quick, what I will do is I'll take this text here, come down here, and I'm going to add a 3 column section. Put that in here like that, looks great. And don't worry about this in here, get rid of that. Copy our image, paste it in. Your image comes in like this and it's not exactly how we want it. So we'll check the alignment and we'll go left, and then we will just make the image a small bit smaller, and we'll bring the text down until it's on its own line. So I'll repeat that for the other 3, and then we'll add in the background. Okay, so we have the content in here. Now it's a case of repeating the exercise we did for the dark blue background. So I'll come back over here. Again, I'm going to take a little screenshot of a little swatch in here like this. Come back into Figma. I'm just going to paste that in here. Make it the same size. And now I'm going to export it. This is going to be light blue, BG. And now back in here, we can make this feel like one seamless section by adding that as a background to here and here. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to edit the section, I'm going to say add a background, upload, light blue, open, add my image, and that'll come in nicely there. I'll do the exact same for here. Come to add a background image, I'll upload it again, open, add image, and now we have this section looking pretty seamless, which is pretty nice. So the next bit here with the picture of the cow, I decided to do this even though there's no functional purpose to it, but we might as well try and get this site as close as we can. So I'm going to copy this cow, so copy image. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a new 3 column section. And those of you who are following my videos will be happy that I can now pronounce column instead of column. Don't know why that was happening. So we'll come in here and we'll paste in our lovely cow. Got our cow in here. We'll make him a little bit smaller, which is good. Excellent. And now what we want to do is we want to add in, we're going to cheat with this, right? We're going to add in a section background with our cow is, and it's going to be half blue and half green, okay? That'll sit behind the cow and it'll make it look like the cow is kind of between sections, even though it's not. So handy way to do that is, again, we're going to take a screenshot so we have both colors, back into Figma. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, okay? And I'm going to create a new frame. And I'm going to make the width of the frame 2560. That is the width that Microsoft say we should make our banner images. So the header background image, we should make it this width. So we'll just do the same here. And I'm going to guess at it, and I'm going to make it say 350 in height. Okay. And now all I have to do is I have this in here. I have the reference color, right? So I'm going to create one rectangle, and I'm just going to draw it in here and make it half. So the little guide will keep me honest. So I'll put that in here. I'm going to fill that, okay? So I'm going to color pick and I'm going to select the blue. And then for the frame itself, I'm going to select the frame and I'm going to set its color to the green, okay? So that'll give us this effect. And I'm going to save that, okay? So I'm going to select the frame. I'm going to click export, export frame 3. I'm going to call it green blue BG, okay? Click save. Now we'll cross our fingers when we put it into SharePoint it works. So back into our site. So we select this section where we have our cow. I'm going to come into edit section, add background, upload, and we'll have our green blue BG. Open, add image. And now it comes in like this, right? But we know that's because it's added the overlay to it. So I'm going to just drop the opacity of the overlay down. And now it looks like the cow is where it's meant to be, even though it's all smoke and mirrors really, but kind of worth doing if we're going for this full fidelity of the site. So we have that in there. That looks excellent. So what's left to do? So now we just have this kind of footer section and we can kind of fudge this. All that we'll do is we'll add in a 2-column section and then a full width section underneath it, add in the content, and we'll just give it a green background. Again, we'll use our swatch trick to do that. So I'll do it really quick. So we're going to come in here. We're going to add in a 2-column section. I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to copy this text. So I'll come in here, text web part, and then over on this side, we'll add in the text web part and we'll say more info, pop it in here. And I don't want these to be bullets and I don't want them to be links. So I'll come in here, I'll say stop being bullets, and I'll come in here and I'll say stop being links. And that is great. Okay. And then we come in here and we have 1 column, and I'll copy this stuff. Come in here, we'll add a text web part, comes in horrible like that, select it all, and I'm going to say clear all formatting, and I'm also going to say remove link. Okay, and we'll just add in a certain amount of spaces. So now we're really in the kind of fake it till you make it territory, right? But again, just want it to look like the Ben & Jerry's site, so bear with me. We'll come in there like that, and we'll just copy this amount of space. So terms and conditions, give me some space. Cookie notice, that's fine, we'll have some space there, and we'll have sitemap, again, give us space. And then what we'll do is we'll select all this and we'll center align it, and if we want to, we can just make it bold. So that comes in kind of like that. So now we'll just add in our background, create our swatch in Figma, paste it in like this, and actually just so there are no surprises, we already have a half a green background here. So all I'll do is I'll come into Figma and I will select the frame and I'll copy the hex value of the fill we had. I'll come up here and I'll say rectangle and I'll draw a new one. And for the fill, I'll use that exact same green, okay? And that just means that this will be seamless with this background, okay? So I've got that rectangle selected. I'm gonna say export and I'm gonna say green BG, save. Okay, so come back into our site. I'm gonna select this section here, edit the section, add in our background image. I'm going to upload our green BG, open, add image, and it's added in that overlay. So we're just going to update that. So we'll bring the opacity right down. We've got the black one selected, so we get white text. That's exactly what we want. So we'll come down here and we'll do the exact same. So there, we're down to there. Okay. So let's save it as a draft and see how we're looking. So we've got our header section, we've got our where to buy, we've got get involved, we've got our top stories, we've got this section here, And then we've got the footer with our cow that we went through way too much effort to put in, but I'm kind of glad we did now that I see it. So that's all good. Again, coming back to the actual site, we see it looks like this. So we're, like I said, we're about 95% of the way to matching it, which I'm fairly pleased with. And again, none of this would be possible without our custom font or our section background images. Now, some changes that I might make. First of all, we're going to add in this logo in here. So I'm going to grab this logo. I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to bring it into Figma, just make sure it's transparent. Come in here, I will paste. When it is transparent, it's great. So I'm going to export Ben & Jerry's logo. Come back to our site. I'm going to go to the cog, change the look. We'll go to header. We'll keep it on the compact layout. And under site logo, I'm going to say change Ben & Jerry's logo. Add that in, which looks great. I don't think we need the site title here anymore, so I'll toggle that to off. And now we could just build out the navigation to match Ben & Jerry's if we wanted to. So I'll click save. So there we have it. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And like I said, you're really seeing how the ability to have these custom fonts and section backgrounds opens up a hell of a lot new possibility to do some really cool and engaging things with your sites. Okay, so there you have it. That's how we can use the new fonts and background images to create some really cool looking pages. And in this example, it was the Ben & Jerry's site. I hope you found it as exciting as I did. Sad to say, I actually did. I've been waiting for this functionality for a long time, and you can be sure that I'm going to explore it to its limits over the next few videos. So if you found it useful, please like and subscribe. It really helps me, helps the channel. If you have any thoughts on this or any questions about it or ideas you might have and want to share, leave them in the comments below. And until next time, see ya.